Now, somewhere in the Treasury Department, Mr. President, locked away in a cabinet drawer, is a big Epstein file that's full of actionable information. Follow the money details about his financing and operations that await investigation.
Senator Ron Wyden, the top Democrat on the Senate Finance Committee, has been ringing alarms that those who want more information on Jeffrey Epstein's past offenses need to follow the money. For the last 3 years, his office has been looking into Epstein's financial network. They found that filings by 4 big banks flagged more than $1.5 billion in transactions, including thousands of wire transfers for the purchase and sale of artwork for rich friends. Then there were fees paid to Epstein by wealthy individuals and payments to numerous women around the world, which begs the question, if Trump's federal government has documents on these transactions, why won't they just make them public? Emma Vigeland, co-host of the Majority Report, and Tim O'Brien are still with us. You know, I got to hand it to Senator Ron Wyden's team. They've been on this story when it wasn't the hot, sexy story, and have been doing the methodical plotting work of going through and looking through all of these very murky financial transactions. Tim, I'll go to you first because of your finance background. No one can understand how Jeffrey Epstein really made his money other than maybe being a fixer for the wealthy, helping them with tax shelters. It wasn't like he ever had his own fund. He managed to get money from big money guys, and then maybe he invested it decently, but he was quite wealthy. And then the amount he spent on the women and on the sex trafficking has been estimated up to $35 million.
Well, it's all a window for the little people to see how easy it is once you get inside the gate to make vast sums of money simply by palling around with other people with vast sums of money. Leon Black has given us a little bit of an inkling of the kind of work Epstein did that made him so valuable. I think Black has said that Epstein saved me between $1 and $2 billion in taxes.
And he paid him around $150 million.
For that service, right?
Yes.
And Epstein himself lived in the British Virgin Islands. It's a tax shelter. Presumably some of the work he was doing for the people who circled around him was helping them avoid tax payments. He did it himself. He also moved art around. He was transacting in Eastern Europe and Russia. Some of that appears to have been involved with sex trafficking, but it also could have been involved with tax shelters or money laundering. We don't fully know, and I think that's why Ron Wyden is onto this. And again, let's remember that during the 2016 campaign, Donald Trump was actively pursuing a real estate deal in Moscow. When I worked on my book, he bragged to me that he had Russian investors in and out of his office all the time in the early 2000s. While I think the right and Republicans want to tamp down the idea of Russiagate as a fraud and a bogus investigation, there were very real financial and political ties between Trump and Russia. So all of this is swirling around inside this mess, this Epstein mess. And I think that Wyden is a public servant. And Trump should release these documents if he's got nothing to worry about.
Emma, I'm curious how you think Democrats should fight this out, position themselves right now, because we have people like Senator Wyden who has a clear focus and sort of path forward. Democrats on the Oversight Committee doing what they can right now with subpoena efforts. But then at the same time, some of the reporting in the past week has suggested that some Democrats are very uncomfortable in this space. They kind of wish they could be talking about the big, beautiful bill or big, ugly bill in their view. I'm interested to hear your take on what they should fundamentally do and if there is a risk here for them, given the fact that if more files are made public, it's very likely there are people on both sides of the aisle in there.
Yeah, I remember maybe it was some years ago, Christine Pelosi had tweeted out some of our faves may be implicated, but that's something that we need to basically stomach because this is being given to Democrats on a silver platter. If they can't make something out of this, well, I don't know what they're in public service for, except to, I don't know, have the prestige. Because there are very few opportunities right now to slow the roll of this fascist administration. They are throwing people into concentration camps down in Florida. They are helping Israel commit genocide in Gaza right now. Time is of the essence. And so if we can slow them in any way that creates political problems for them, we have to be able to take that opportunity. And I mean, as I was saying in the earlier segment, this is a bit of a populist story, I think, for lower information voters. I don't want to be disparaging, but I'm interested in it too, right? Because it's such a low barrier to entry. You can see how the story is about elites doing unspeakable things and getting away with it, and then other elites covering that up. And for so long, Donald Trump has positioned himself as separate from the Republican establishment. And frankly, even Democrats have aided this by pursuing suburban Republicans in their coalition and just saying, oh, that's MAGA Republicans. No, all Republicans are complicit in this, and let's fight Republicans. And so when you show that Donald Trump is participating in the cover-up, this elite cover-up, you bring him into the fold of the elites that people despise, that are responsible for this untold concentration of wealth that at the very top, they're making people's lives worse. You make Donald Trump into an establishment figure by tying him to Epstein. And so if Democrats can't make a good political hay out of this, I mean, I don't know, man. You got to find another job, go into consulting or something.
You know, one of the things that makes me think about this differently is the more and more and more there's a resistance to this, the bigger the expectation seems to be in terms of what's actually in the files. And so it strikes me as something that we are not going to be able to ever satisfy the hunger from the MAGA right, or even from people who are just curious about what's in those files, because to your point, Emma, there's been such a big cover-up so far, right, and that's just created such a big issue.
But the cover-up, how did Nixon get undone? It's the cover-up. I mean, Benghazi, do people even know what happened in Benghazi? But they'll hear that and they associate it with Hillary Clinton. Let's play dirty. I mean, we have a majority of the American public on our side, but we also have a responsibility to protect the most vulnerable in this moment, and that means not holding back any punches when it comes to Donald Trump.
Hold no punches, and we will continue to watch this story. Thank you both, Emma Vigeland and Tim O'Brien.